It is finally here. The way I've been waiting for this book to arrive in the mail. I have been dying. Barnes & Noble, our beef is never over. I'm telling you, it's never over. This was supposed to arrive in the mail on Thursday. It is now Saturday, January 25th. This book came out on the 21st. People have already read and reviewed and doing a reread of this book, and it is just now in my hands. Why is that? What is the point of even pre-ordering if it's gonna come freaking 5 days later? Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing a reading vlog of Onyx Storm. I read Fourth Wing with a book club back in January of last year, so 2024. I read that book in 3 days. 3 days. I could not put Fourth Wing down. The next day I finished it, immediately Iron Flame. I think it took me maybe 7 days to read Iron Flame. I devoured them both. I know this series is not literature, but again, it's enjoyable. And that is sometimes all you need for a book to be good and to be a 4 or 5 star. I am going into this without obviously like a full reread. Where am I in the audiobook of Fourth Wing? I am right when Xaden and Violet kiss for the first time. So I'm not entirely sure where that is in the actual book. Actually, I'm in the 300 page range, actually. So they've already kissed and she is having her power and she is going to Professor Carr, I believe that's his name, his class for the first time. Her signet has not appeared and she's about to challenge Jack. I have a few more hours to go in it. Honestly, it's actually such a great way to reread it. So that is where I'm at in my reread. I'm gonna finish listening to Fourth Wing and then I may listen to Iron Flame depending, but I'm not gonna wait to read Onyx Storm before that, hence this video. There are only, can I see how many pages there are in this book without spoiling it? 527 pages, so honestly, light work. Iron Flame felt like 600 pages. It is going to be as spoiler-free as humanly possible because obviously this just came out and a lot of people are either getting into Fourth Wing for the first time or still reading Onyx Storm, and I do not want to be that person. So you can watch this video feeling safe that I will not spoil anything extremely, extremely, extremely important. If I say something about a character, it's going to be so insanely vague. You are going to be left wondering, what the hell is she talking about? That is how this video is going to be run and how I'm going to make sure I edit it. Because like I said, I do not want to spoil this for you guys. Just as much as I haven't wanted this spoiled, I don't want to be that person for you. It's just going to be a good time. I'm so excited. Sorry, I am actually tweaking. I'm so excited. Oh, anyways, let's It is 10 o'clock. I am falling asleep. I am on chapter 9, so page 75. 10%? 15%? I don't know. So much has happened in these first 70 pages. They are currently going to the front lines. Violet and the squad are currently going to the front lines the second year, and they are chilling with the writers, not the writers, the flyers. I kind of get why people were saying online that the first 50 pages are rough. It's just because there really are a lot of names and I'm like, who is that again? Who are they? What is this? What are flyers? Like, my brain completely forgot the terminology, but honestly it's starting to come back to me now. I'm starting to like remember what's going on, so I think it honestly isn't as difficult as people are saying online, but it is really good. And in comparison to Iron Flame, this one very much throws you right back into the story. It is action. It is definitely focused a lot more on the politics and the consequences of what happened in Iron Flame instead of the romance, which I personally like. I think it's really fun. I think Riddick low-key, I've always loved him since the beginning, but something about him in this book, Rebecca was like, he needs to be at the forefront of this story. He's gonna be the saving grace. He's the perfect comedic relief. He's so funny. I think he's great. I'm glad Violet is just being more proactive this book. Oh, speaking of, there's a specific scene that happens here between the writers that never left Navarre and the writers and flyers that went to Aretia? Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce these names. Xaden's home. Those group, there's a specific scene, and it happens really early on, where they all kind of like have a big fallout, big argument. She slayed. Violet slayed. I just love that 2 years almost after her being at this war college in Basquiat, that she's already understood that she is powerful and that she can survive and she's not as weak as she originally thought. But now she's starting to see that she actually has like a voice that she can use along with her super big scribe brain. It just feels like she's getting really fleshed out as a strong, independent woman in this story already, without the backing and protection of Xaden. And I love that, because Fourth Wing is very much about Xaden protecting her as she's like trying to get her literal footing. And then Iron Flame is where she, she starts to get it. Okay, we got it. Now she makes some decisions. And then this is like, I'm doing this. I am a strong girl and you can't kill me, so you're just gonna have to deal with what I want to do. And that is great. I love it. I stand Violet for that. The margins are wild. Like, these are the tiniest margins I've ever seen. And look at the bottom. I was wondering when I first got this, I was like, why did she, this is so much smaller than Iron Flame. I was like, why is it so much smaller? Is it like a shorter book? No, girl. They just like literally condensed probably like the same amount of words into smaller margins and the same size. Like, this is crazy. It's like top to bottom, side to side. It is cool. This is definitely feeling more like a true fantasy book in comparison to Romantasy, which is what Fourth Wing is, and I'm just kind of eating it up. So anyways, that's it. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna call it a night, and I will talk to you guys next time. Okay, it is obviously no longer daytime. I am stopping, unfortunately, before the 200 page mark. We are stopping on chapter 21, page 180. My eyes are once again fighting to stay awake, and it's only 9 o'clock. One thing I have noticed in comparison to the first two is that I think Rebecca really took her time in showing the different personalities of the writers in this one. You see it especially with Riddick. Like, yes, he is the same funny guy, but he's really shining and you're seeing a little bit more depth come out of him. Rhiannon is taking a step back a little bit. She's not as big of a player, but honestly I think it's a good move. That way we can see more of the complexities of Riddick, Sawyer, Mira, even some of the flyers. that were introduced in Iron Flame. We're seeing more of their just like personalities pop up, and that is enjoyable because again, it's nice that it's not just so Xaden and Violet focused. It's actually focused on the other characters and other things going on in the world and the politics, and it's just a nice shift. I also think this is definitely feeling like a book that is meant to just set up a lot of things for the final 2 installments. A lot of information is getting dumped. Some questions are getting answered from the first 2, and otherwise we're getting a lot more questions about the history of Navarre and Primordial and all these different places and the dragons and the magic and all this stuff. But I think it's a stepping stone book for sure. It feels like Violet is just growing into this really strong woman. I think I already explained that last night when I did my recap about where I am, but she just feels like this very strong, smart, like great, just young adult. She's just shaping into a wonderful female protagonist, honestly, in this book, and I love reading that. I love seeing how far she's come, and I think that's honestly the most exciting part about Onyx Storm, just seeing her take all these steps to literally becoming just a badass woman. The way I was about to say, like, I think I could finish this soon, and that is 181 pages. If we can get to, like, here tomorrow, I think that'll be great. I think that's feasible. I don't know, this book is so deceiving, because it really is so small, and I think it's only maybe 100 pages less than Iron Flame. Okay, Iron Flame was 623 pages, and now that I'm looking at it, maybe let me not show you the ending page of Iron Flame. So this is like the text and margins of Iron Flame. I'm gonna do really early pages of Onyx Storm. This is the text of Onyx Storm. Like, I think actually what's making it hard for me to read is Onyx Storm is just much more condensed. I hope the camera is doing it justice and picking it up well. I feel like they're both probably like the same word count, and they just really made Onyx Storm condense so that it wasn't as fat of a book, because really, like, I think it may be making it harder for me to read. I think it may be making it harder for me to read, low-key. Like, between all the names and the lore, and then on top of that, the tinier text and the tinier margins, I think it's making it harder for my little brain to just stay locked in for longer. Am I going crazy? No, I think Onyx Storm, okay, I'm sorry, this has nothing to do with my updates, but I think Onyx Storm is literally like the text is a little tinier and more condensed, and the margins for sure are smaller. Anyways, all that to say is that I think that's what's stopping me from like really diving in and actually reading a ton all at once. My eyes get really tired in the way that this was actually printed and published. It has nothing to do necessarily with the writing. Like, yes, the name and the info was a lot, but I feel like if it was just printed a little bit more eye friendly, I'd probably be able to digest it a little bit better. But anyways, that's where we're at. Sorry, that was an unnecessary ramble. That's where we're at, and hopefully tomorrow we will be page 300. How cool. You have any opinions? You have any opinions on Onyx Storm? No, she walked away. Hello, it's been a minute since I've updated y'all. I know I said I was going to update on page 200. We are actually on page 337. So let's start with the non-spoiler related items first. I think I said originally in my earlier footage that I wasn't entirely sure why people were saying Onyx Storm was confusing. I am now going to retract that statement if I actually did say it, and I'm gonna say honestly, yeah, I get why people are saying it's confusing. For me, the first 300 pages, I would even say up to page 200, was a little bit confusing. You are basically kind of thrown into this scenario where it's just a lot of info dumping. It's a lot of info dumping. We have info dumping about these plans that Violet is putting together to save Xaden, to save the continent, and it feels like you're jumping into these conversations like halfway through. Like, we're not getting a lot of that background related to it where she's actually formulating it. It's just like, oh yeah, I gotta do this, and you're like, okay, but why are we doing this? And then it's not until you read like 50 more pages on that you get that context. So that is a little jarring. It's a little confusing. I'm not gonna knock too much off my rating for it, just because I don't know if this is something that would have been easier to go through if I had done a true reread before. But so far, that's kind of like my only complaint. Just those first 200 pages, honestly, were a little difficult for me to really understand what was going on, understand where we were. For some reason, I didn't realize that these surrounding isles served the different gods. This is not a spoiler, so don't freak out yet. But I didn't know like these isles served these different gods. I'm sure that may have been described in the first 2 books. I just don't remember. I literally don't remember. So, you know, when they are talking about these different places and stuff like that, I'm like, I really wish I had like a cheat sheet, or at least the map in the book was updated. Because truthfully, this one is the same one from the first book. There is nothing, I don't think, that has really changed at all, except maybe some of the places in Perumial. It's at least the same one from Iron Flame. I wish we would have more detail about the new places that we're going. We did have this cheat sheet. I don't know if they showed this in my other footage, but we did have this cheat sheet about characters, their dragons, their griffins, but it's just major characters. It's not a lot of those side characters. I wish we had a cheat sheet kind of relating to the culture of these different isles, these different places. I think that would have been really useful information to have, just because, again, it's a lot of information that in the first 2 books I feel like we're kind of just grazed over. They were like brought up in passing conversation, but now we're really getting to the meat of it, and a cheat sheet of that would have been really helpful. That so far is my only criticism. Other than that, I am really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. I think if I were to give it a rating right now, low-key, it may be like a 4.25. It's only losing stars just because of how confused I really was those first 200 pages. I am also curious, after I finish listening to Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, to see if it is that I'm just forgetting things, or if, you know, the writing is just not as probably in depth as it needs to be. I wonder if maybe that was just like an editing choice. Maybe Rebecca had a lot more context thrown in, and they were like, hey, we don't want this book to be as long as Iron Flame, like take some of it out. That could be a thing, right? Again, that's just so far my only criticism. We're gonna talk a little bit spoilery here, just because I want to be honest with some of my reactions. So here's your spoiler warning. I will let you know when you can come back. Trigger. Oh man, that's where I'm at in the story right now. Trigger, the events of them leaving the Isle of Zanal. I think that so far visiting all these different isles is actually so fun. Again, I'm confused because I don't really remember all the different gods and goddesses and who is what and whatever, but I love just the cultures of learning about these different isles. But Trigger, it feels so quick and out of nowhere. I thought we were safe. I'm literally where they're at that first minor isle that isn't on the map right after the event of that. So here's my prediction about how this end is gonna go. I low-key think Xaden is a lost cause. I think Xaden's gonna become a full-on Venom by the end of this story. I know people are saying that like it feels like the same ending as Iron Flame, so that's my prediction. When Violet said that his onyx eyes were amber, I said something is going on with Violet, because why is Violet the only one who's able to talk to her dragons as they're going through all of these isles? She definitely wielded lightning at the Isle of Dune when she was fighting the queen, so like I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know why she thinks she's not wielding. Girl, that was definitely you. I'm wondering if her second signet is related to storms, because why is it that like storm clouds are starting to come around her a lot more this book? Or her second signet has to be related to something dealing with like being able to create magic. I don't know. Also, I need answers as to what they are talking about when they said they were dedicating like babies to these gods and goddesses. Like, are you telling me that they were in the process of dedicating Violet to the goddess of Dune? The goddess Dune, not the goddess of Dune. The goddess Dune, because why would they dedicate her to the war goddess? Like, why would her parents do that? Okay, and the spoilers though. That's all I wanted to say about spoilerish stuff. But what I kind of talked about in the spoilers that I'm going to reiterate just real quick. I think there are a lot of plot lines that are going on right now between Violet's history and some stuff that were going on with her parents and her family that I'm very intrigued to see how that goes in this book. I doubt we're going to get all the answers by the end of this book, but in the next 2 books, I'm sure we're going to go over that, because if you've read it, you know one of the isles that they visit brings like 500 billion more questions about Violet and why she is the way she is and whatnot. And I think that's extremely interesting. And then what we're going to do now is I'm going to keep reading. Again, we're here. I believe everyone says like the last 100 pages go crazy. So we're going to keep reading. I'm going to come back to you when I'm on the last 100 pages. And that way we can film like my genuine, real reaction to the end of Onyx Storm, because people seem really distressed. They seem almost as distressed as Iron Flame, which kind of concerns me a little bit for like various reasons. It concerns me because it makes me wonder, like, is it the same exact ending? Is it gonna feel like we're just being left hanging, so this, like, we're stretching out the story? Or is it just gonna be like that detrimental to my mental health that like I'm concerned, you know? Can you see where we are? I'm nervous, y'all. I'm nervous. I'm so nervous. Page 415. I'm so scared. I'm so scared. I'm so confused because the dream is Zayden's point of view, and then I'm reading in Violet's point of view. The battle at Aracia? I found out it's Aracia. It's not Aredia. That was intense. This has me on edge, and that was only 20 more pages. Finding out Violet's dad may not be a nice man, I'm not surprised, but I didn't expect it to this degree. I'm on chapter 58, page 472, so we are literally 40 pages, 45 pages. Oh my gosh, I know. What time is it? It's like 8:20, 8:30? It's only 8:30. I'm gonna try to finish this. I just know that the second I start reading these last 40-ish pages, I'm not gonna put the book down. But I'm so stressed, y'all. Oh my gosh. Between the events of Andarna, the events right now in Mira, I thought I knew how this was gonna play out, and right now I'm thinking like maybe my Bobo brain actually had no idea how this was gonna play out. Chapter 61. We've hit the multiple point of view section, page 491 out of like 523. Things are going crazy. Things are literally only escalating. I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm really nervous. I'm nervous on all accounts. I'm nervous for Violet. I'm nervous for Zayden. I'm nervous for Mira. I'm nervous for Rihanna. I'm nervous for literally the entire second squad. I am so confused. about whatever Eric's signet is. I don't understand. I don't understand what his whole deal is with the goddess Dune. I don't understand. I don't get it. I'm lost. I'm scared. And I don't know. I don't know. I am at such a loss for words with that ending. When I flipped the page and it was blank, Rebecca, I need this next book now. I'm sorry, I need it now. I have so many questions. Right now, first thoughts. What a great story. Honestly, what a great turn of events. This really changed the whole series for me. It feels so different from Fourth Wing, from Iron Flame. I loved all the world building. I loved the adventure. I loved all the side characters. You already know this. I've talked about this in my other updates. I loved these last, honestly, probably these last 250-ish pages where it's just one thing after another, but it didn't feel too rushed. It was just the perfect amount of pacing and build up. It was just so good. It was so good. Beginning was rough, but after that it was so good. And it makes me excited for her next two. I believe it's going to be a 5-book series. What I thought wasn't going to be a super intense fantasy series actually has some more sustenance to it, so I'm just enjoying it. Also, the plot twist with Eric, he's crazy in a good way, but he's crazy strong. Sorry, I'm just thinking about all the things that happened literally in those last 100 pages. I didn't really love the point of view changes. I think that if they were different characters, it would have felt a little bit more seamless. But for example, the Rhiannon chapter felt just honestly out of place. The Imogen chapter was better, but again, felt out of place, and it felt just kind of filler between the Violet chapters. If maybe those had been Xaden point of views or Garrick point of views or Bodhi point of views, because I feel like something also was going on with Bodhi and it hasn't been explained. I feel like that would have been a little bit just more cohesive. It would have tied the different scenarios going on better together with the narrative. Imogen and Rhiannon, while I loved them, just did not fit that well. I know my bangs look crazy. Don't judge them. I think right now, if I'm gonna have to give it a rating, it still is probably at a 4.25. Maybe a 4.5. I'm telling you, those last 250, 300 pages really came through. Once my brain understood what was going on, it really came through. I'm gonna sit on it though. I'm gonna sit on it and then I will post my review probably tomorrow. Oh, Hawk was up on the move. I'm not gonna talk again. I'm not gonna talk too much about it. I don't want to spoil too much, but just know that if you have not read Fourth Wing, if you're on the fence, I promise just give it a try. It is a really fun series, truthfully, to get through. Fourth Wing is exceptionally fun. Don't take it too seriously. Iron Flame, a little bit harder to get through, but what we're seeing in Onyx Storm makes me really, really excited for the last 2 books. So I'll just leave it at that. But if you like the video, leave a like, subscribe, drop a comment. Let's yap in the comments about Onyx Storm. Try to keep it spoiler free for the people who have not read the book yet. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!